In this how-to project, we'll be covering how to replace damaged or weak axle gears in a Athearn or Proto 2000 diesel locomotive. This happens to be an Athearn, but its application is the same for either brand. One of the handy tools you might want to use is a foam cradle made by Bowser. This is part number 22. Some other handy tools you can use. An MRA gauge. This is the HO gauge, Walther's number 98-1. The replacement gears is a stock Athearn gear. They come in a package of 6, so either if you're doing 4 or 6 axle diesel, the parts are the same. Part number is 60224. I'm sorry, 60024. First thing you want to do is pop this bottom plate off. This truck's already been done, but just to speed things up here, go in with a flat blade screwdriver, and sometimes they're a little bit difficult. Go in and pop these little tabs out to get this clip off from the bottom of the truck. Then you can take the axles out, which are these right here, and what winds up happening is the gear will split across. That can cause jumping, skipping, thumping, binding, even lock up the whole engine. And also if you spin the wheels, if you grab one, try to spin the other one, if it spins easily, then you'll want to replace these gears. To remove them, just twist the wheels to pull them apart, then twist this gear off. It's just a press fit metal axle into a plastic gear. The only thing that I will recommend that you might want to check or purchase is, if I can find it, pull that butt. An MRA gauge, which will give you your wheel gauge between your flanges. You just check it like this, make sure they're all the proper gauge, which this one is actually within gauge. Too tight. You can spin them and pull them or push them as needed until they fit properly in the gauge. And then for reassembly, these little bronze square bushings should spin freely on both sides. Set them back down into the metal groove. Now is also a good time to lubricate your engine. If you see just dry bare plastic, a little bit goes a long way. It doesn't take much. In this case I'm using Label number 108, or is this, sorry, 102 gear lubricant. Just a little bit. If you can, don't put any oil on the axles themselves. If you can keep oil away from here in those little bronze bearings. If you have a squeak that's driving you crazy, okay, go for it, but if you can keep oil out of there, it'll keep hairs or little dust bunnies or anything like that out of that area. Then take your clip, snap it on, that end is done. Simple as that. While we're at this, we might as well show you how to lubricate the rest of the engine. I used Label number 102 for the gear oil. I used Label number 108 for all the rest of the bearings on the engine. You can use anything simple, 3-in-1 oil, light oil for the bearings and motor bearings. You could use the same thing, or grease for the trucks and the gears. Everybody has their own preference. As long as it's plastic compatible, it really won't matter a whole lot. If you use a light oil, you might have to apply it more often. There's a few places you'll want to get into. Just a little bit on the ends of the worm gear, on both ends. And then both ends of the engine. And I usually don't bother with the dry splines. Once it spools up, it just throws it all inside the body anyway, so it just makes a big mess. But I do make sure to get into both sides, here by the commutator and on the other side, both of your motor bearings. Sometimes they're a little bit tricky to get into than others. Sometimes you can get right in there. This one's easy. It doesn't take much. Make sure everything spins freely. And should be good to go.